At the beginning of this week, I made some predictions and told you how Tesla stock is likely going to behave this week, next week, and all of Q4. Now I want to recap that a little bit to showcase some things and why we can actually predict the future to some extent with some probabilistic confidence. So when you look at where we are today, we are at 449. And I said Wednesday and yesterday that I would not be surprised that Tesla comes in at 400, under 460, which is my initial channel I was talking about. So if you remember, let's go back. Here, I told you guys, I think we are in this channel. Let's go back a month maybe. We are in this channel between 410, in my opinion, and 460. And then in the middle of the week, we reached 461. So we were actually broken out of my channel. I got a little nervous, to be totally frank, but I thought, my reasoning is sound. We should stay here. I actually sold some covered calls at 470 weeklies, right? Because I don't want to hold anything through November 6th. I said, this is probably the channel. Now, why did I know that? And why did I have a high confidence? And why are we actually ending up now below 400? After the earnings call last week, I told everyone, in my opinion, this earnings call was of tremendous importance. Why was it so important? Because it opened our eyes onto the final stretch of Tesla's path to a total inflection point. And that total inflection point is getting artificial intelligence into the company and turning it into embodied AI and actually into embodied AI real cash flow streams through Robotaxi and Optimus. And we all knew that. It was very clear for a long time that this is happening. But this earnings call revealed the exact remaining pathway. And Elon made things very clear. He said, Optimus version 3, the commercial version of Optimus. And you know, I'm a big humanoid robot fan. I covered 1X Technologies, a little bit of Figure AI. I'm thinking 1X is amazing and they're doing something really smart here. But of course, let's get real. Tesla is vastly ahead of everyone. But Elon made clear the reveal of Optimus version 3 will not happen on November 6th. It will happen in Q1. He made also clear the removal of the safety drivers in the Robotaxi in Austin will happen end of the year, as I predicted. Maybe a little later. I said November. Maybe he implies now December. But it will only be about a few safety drivers in Austin, not all of them. And he also reiterated certain important milestones that Cybercab will start scaling in the second half of 2026. So all of that confirmed my inflection point estimate of May next year for Robotaxi and somewhere in Q2 for Optimus with this first little blip and glimpse into the future in Q1. All of that means that all the catalysts that we might have hoped for in Q4 for November and December this year, for the last remaining 2 months, are actually kind of gone, if you ask me. Hey, creating these videos is a lot of work. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Now let's get back to the video. Now, there's a lot of confidence in the stock, right? Because now people know how this whole thing looks like, but the actual catalysts that drive the stock higher, I do not think they're. So we have confidence, but not catalysts. And also the hope for catalysts is for catalysts, thinking too much about capital here. The hope for catalysts is kind of a little bit gone. Of course, you never know. There might be a surprise November 6th. I'm very cautious there. I am hedging my bets in both directions. I'm definitely not short any calls for November 6th. You never know. But my expectation is this will be a sell the news event. And then we just chug along with the market. And I think the market is setting up for a nice year-end rally. And if the NASDAQ goes up 5%, Tesla goes up 10%. We know that. If Tesla is market neutral, it just goes up with a beta of 2. If the NASDAQ rallies 5%, which could absolutely happen by the end of the year, we will see Tesla around 500, 490, something like that. But that doesn't require Tesla to do anything. It's just sitting there. And so I was very confident not much is going to happen. We are in this channel. And now comes the lesson from this week. I want to just go into the lesson. If you're into short-term Tesla trading, a lot of you are just long-term holders, and that is fine. That is smart. Otherwise, we have to pay too much attention and burn through a lot of time and attention every week or every 2 weeks, which is also fine if you have enough capital to manage and have nothing else to do. And the return on your capital is higher than you would make spending your time elsewhere. So what is the lesson here? The lesson is that I knew we have a 410 to 460 funnel technically probably I was a little off by $1, but whatever. And here comes the psychology. If you know you're in a sideways trend because not much is happening and there is a rally in that sideways trend, you tend to get nervous. Same when it goes down, you get nervous, especially if you have a short put or short call. I had both, by the way, because I believed in my channel, so I could make money on both sides. What is the important thing here? If you go from 430 or 420 within 2 days to 460, you get FOMO, fear, whatever you call it. And you think, oh, Joe was wrong. He said 460, but now we are already at 460. We might be at 465 intraday. Joe was wrong. Now we are going to the moon, which is very scary if you have short calls. Or maybe you just get bullish and you don't have short calls. And you just say, oh, now I have to double down. We're going to the moon. That is the exact wrong instinct in this specific instance. If you know it's a channel and your rational mind says, no, this is a channel, this is the wrong instinct. When things go up and you're in a sideways movement, you don't need to get afraid. You need to get more certain that then it will go down. And when things go down and you're certain you're in a sideways channel, you can get more certain that things go up. So you have the exact wrong instinct. Everyone has the exact wrong instinct. At 460, you think, oh God, I wish I had bet on 480 because now we are sure of going to 480. But no, we are going to go to 450 or 445. And the same thing will happen if this thing drops now to 420. I was like, oh no, now we are going to 380. But you're not going to 380. We are going back to 460. Now, of course, what I'm saying here is only true if you're truly in a sideways channel. And that's why it's so important to have a strategic, tight grip on the stock. At any moment, if there is a key catalyst, either to the downside or the upside, the bets are off. You're not in a channel. You go to 460 and then 480, then 500, then 600 in 2 weeks. Not in the next 2 weeks, you know what I mean, if you're in a different situation. The same on the downside. If you're breaking out of the channel, I'm not talking technical analysis. I'm not a believer in technical analysis. I'm talking about real catalysts. Something bad happens, the market starts crashing, you go to 420. Obviously, you're not going to bet that this thing goes back to 460 because now the situation has changed. So that's why it's very important, if you're into this kind of stuff, to keep watching very tightly, to listen to people to listen to my channel, maybe other people, to make up your own mind. And always, before you do any kind of trading, think for yourself, are we in a sideways movement, or has something fundamentally changed and we are in a downwards movement or in an upwards movement? And that informs your knowledge. If 460 is your signal that things are going down again, or you have a breakout and all bets are off. And you need to really train your brain if you want to get into that, because you have to react fast if things change, very fast. Otherwise, you have a problem. So that is how I translate my deep insight into Tesla and Tesla stock into tactical trading opportunities, while I'm keeping my core position, my big fat core position of Tesla long-term always fixed, right? You know that I'm sitting on a big long-term position. I'm not touching that. Unless Tesla falls a lot, then I roll over big parts of this position into leaps to have more leverage up. I did that from April to now. I rolled them now back into stocks. That is my core position. That's my long-term alpha generation strategy. But my short-term alpha generation strategy is to sell puts and calls. Not always both, depending on the tactical situation. And the basis for this is always to understand what is going on. Are we in a channel? What is the top? What's the top and the bottom of that channel? Very likely. And then keep observing very tightly. So what am I going to do for next week? I'm going to describe that on Monday. But for next week, of course, we have this giant event November 6th. Of course, if Elon doesn't get his compensation package, we are all completely screwed and the stock tanks 40%. But also, of course, this is extremely unlikely, right? I think it's a far less than 5% chance that this happens. I think more than less than 1%. So what am I going to do? I'm definitely not going to hold any short puts through that event. I'm also not going to hold short calls through the event. I will sit on my core position. And the question, if I buy some puts just for the, for the worst case scenario to secure my positions, maybe I do that. I don't think it would be super rational, but maybe I do it anyway. Buy it just the same day before the event and sell it right after, and do maybe 3-week puts or something so we don't lose too much time value. So we can discuss this next week. But I hope this was helpful, a little tactical and week review trading input here. And I hope to see you very soon.